Hey, what's going on guys? Andres here from Links Digital, and in today's video, we're gonna be talking about a little known campaign type that has just been recently rolled out by Google, and it's called Demand Gen. It's very similar to a Performance Max campaigns, but we're gonna explain to you how it differs and also the different types of, let's say, features that it has for you to analyze your campaigns and to actually maximize your ROAS with this high intent traffic channels. So Demand Gen campaign is one of those campaign types that Google has rolled out, and it's slowly but surely rolling it out. If you don't have access to this campaign type, don't worry, you need to ask your Google rep for you to get the beta tested, whitelisted version of this particular campaign type. Demand Gen, it really is unique because it takes your best performing video assets and images that you provided, and it just gives you a more visual, let's say, diffusion of your content across different channels like Discover, YouTube Shorts, even Gmail, right? So I know it sounds similar to Performance Max, but it is quite different in the way that it sets it up and the way that it delivers these ads to these particular placements, right? So they actually reach about 3 billion users per month, right? As they stream, as people are streaming and scrolling through the content, right? So even research shows that 91% of consumers took action immediately after discovering new products or brands within their Google feeds like Discover and Gmail, right? One might think that there's not a whole lot of, let's say, intent in these particular placements, but we have seen some data from Google, and we're actually gonna show you how to create this campaign so you can test it out for yourself. So let's go ahead and dive into my screen and see how we can set up a Demand Gen campaign on Google. Okay, so the first thing that you see here is the campaign objective. So notice you do have various campaign types available to you, just like we've explained in previous videos when we're doing YouTube campaigns or Google search campaigns, display, right? So in this case, we're gonna create a campaign without a goals guidance. Okay, now for this campaign type, you're gonna have particular options here. So you're gonna have search, Performance Max, which, if you haven't seen our Performance Max video tutorial, we're gonna leave a link here in the video on the top right-hand corner so you can take a look at that. And this is where you can basically create it. So when we select the Demand Gen type, you still wanna ensure that you have conversion actions, conversion goals implemented in this particular campaign, right? So whether it's a lead form, submit, or a book call campaign or a type of funnel, then you wanna make sure that these are being tracked, right? Because that's what's going to ensure that this campaign, which is AI powered type of campaign, that it has data to feed off of in order for the campaign to do its thing, the algorithm to do its thing. So that's very important. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue here. Okay, great. So now this is the creation piece. So notice there's not a lot of steps here. We're going to get through each step so you guys have clarity on how to set this up properly. One of the biggest things is the campaign goal, right? So depending on what you're looking to accomplish with this particular campaign type, then this is what you're going to choose. Obviously, most of us are going to be choosing conversions, which is very straightforward. Clicks, if you want to get more clicks. Conversion value, in this case, we don't have this available. And typically, it's because a conversion value bidding strategy, normally it requires more data, more conversion data for your campaign in order to have that selected. So in this case, we're going to go with conversions.
Hey, really quickly, do you want us to run your ads for you so that you can get results like this, or this, or this, or this? In that case, check the top link in the description down below. And now back to the video.
We're going to scroll down here and review the conversion goals. So this is exactly what we were mentioning before, is that you want to ensure that you have these conversion goals or events set up prior to launching this campaign, right? And you most likely do. If you have access to Demand Gen right now, then you are very likely you already have this particular campaign running. I can tell you from right offhand that if you're an e-commerce brand, this type of campaign does work very well in e-com brands. So for example, this is an account for a lead gen, book call type of funnel. It may very well work, right? So, but it might not work as effectively as maybe a max conversion campaign on YouTube, but it is something worth trying. So notice here that we have a target cost per action, right? So, we can set a particular target CPA. So depending on, remember that the target CPA, one rule of thumb that I use is if you want to target a specific amount, let's say $100 cost per call, then you want to bid based on your cost per conversion. If you're already getting a cost per conversion of $130, then you want to bid for what that cost per conversion is in the last 30 days of data. Okay, so once you set that bid, then you can just test it out. If it doesn't spend, then you want to increase the bid gradually by 20-25% until you actually see that your spend is actually meeting your daily spend, that is actually spending what you intended for that campaign to spend. Okay, so in this case, we're actually going to leave it blank. We're gonna go with max conversions, and that is one recommendation that we normally give when you're just starting out. Just you can switch out to target CPA gradually after you tested max conversion. So let's go down here and continue. We're just gonna add a $50 a day budget. And notice this starts changing here on the right-hand side, which is your estimated campaign results. This will vary per account, per account history. If you already have conversion history, then you might see some data similar to what you're seeing here on the right-hand side. Great. Now here, you're gonna see that the location and language, okay? So this is part of Google saying we recommend setting local location and language at the ad group level to better align with your other targeting and to make sure your budget is being allocated to where your ads are performing best, right? So we're gonna go ahead and leave that there, and in the ad group we'll make those adjustments. So kind of like when you're doing it on Facebook, if you have the campaign, you have the ad set on the ad, you want to do ABO, which is ad set budget optimization. Very similar scenario here. So you can do it on the ad group level. Right now we're in devices, so we want to select, let's say we don't want tablets or TV screens, so we can just go ahead and make the adjustments there. Everything else straightforward. If you're a local business, for example, let's say a dental clinic that needs to run ads from Monday through Friday from a specific schedule like 9 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m., then this is where you would do your ad scheduling to ensure that people are either calling or messaging you during the hours times. This is where you can do that. So we already know ad scheduling, pretty basic information here. Campaign URL options. This is if you're running, you have a UTM tracking template, then you can add that in here on the campaign level as well. Okay, so let's move forward to the ad group level. Now that we have the campaign already laid out. So on the ad group level, this is, we typically label it according to the audience that we're gonna use. So, and this is the location. So we're doing the United States. Languages, so we're gonna do, for example, in this case, English. Great. Now for audience, okay, so this is where you can get, very clever, and actually is one of the differentiators between Performance Max, right? So with Performance Max, you can create different custom segments, and typically they tell you, hey, create a cold audience, right? Based on the custom segments you have, and a warm audience, right? So basically if it's a customer list, you can create that customer list, or if it's a YouTube video viewers, right? So basically it grabs cold and warm, and it gives you the opportunity to present your ads to both prospect, right, cold prospects, and remarketing. People are let's say down the funnel, in the middle, bottom of the funnel stages. Okay, in this case it's no different. So you can see it's very similar. So these are the saved audiences, for example, that we've had for the Performance Max on this account. And so it's a mixture of a custom affinity audience plus a demographic interest, right? This one is a site visitor type of audience, for example. So in this case we're just going to create a new one just to show you the different options and the big differentiator that the Demand Gen has, which is a lookalike segment. Okay, that's right. So notice that with Google, as of, I would say, a couple of months now, they've removed the similar audience segment, right? You can no longer use that to create similar audiences. So a lot of you watching this might think, hey, but I used to have better results with similar audiences, or that doesn't really matter to me. But maybe if you look at your Facebook campaigns right now, you're running lookalike audiences, and those are some of your best audiences, right? You have the best cost per lead, cost per click with the lookalike audiences. Well, now with YouTube, and specifically with the Google campaigns and this Demand Gen option, you can actually create a lookalike audience that is similar to your seed list, right? So it's very similar to a lookalike audience on Facebook, and I'm gonna share with you how this works. So again, we'll enter a campaign audience name, just gonna do a test here, but here you can do a lookalike audience, and this is where you wanna get creative and you wanna have good data to work with, right? So if you have a customer list to work with, then this is where you will put that in. So for example, so let's just put a name here, lookalike audience, seed list. So here is a seed list, for example. We have a list here. The customer has a list of 2.8K, right, up to 2,000 individuals. We have a list of, this is a little bit bigger now. So the bigger the seed list that you have, the higher the possibilities of you creating an effective lookalike audience that you can actually use for cold prospecting, right? So it actually tells you can combine up to 10 seed lists. So for example, if I wanted to just do a customer list, then I can just do that. You're not obligated to just select more than one. You can just have one. That way it's a direct lookalike audience, let's say from customer list XYZ, and then and that's it. You could just save the audience. And notice here you have the locations. In this case, you just want to do United States, and that's basically what you've been targeting. So that should not be affecting anything. You can see here, it does give you an option or an insight, if you will, for weekly impressions. Okay, on the segment reach, so it's similar to, like I said, on Facebook, where you have the possibility of creating a 1% audience, 2%, 3%, and so on. This one has 3 fixed percentages where the reach is going to get. So here it tells you, right? If I leave it balanced, it says your balanced segment will aim to reach 5% of people in this campaign's targeted location, similar to people on your seed list. So this is where it actually differentiates from all the other campaign types. There's no other campaign type out there that you can do this in. Demand gen is the only one. So again, definitely recommend, if you don't have access to this, ask your Google rep to whitelist you to enable this on your account so you can try this out. But here's where you can do balanced. You can see here, your balanced segment will aim to reach 5% of people in the campaign's targeted location, similar to people in your seed list. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, and you can basically just play around with all of these options that Google provides for this lookalike audience. So that's basically it, guys, and you would just kind of save the audience. So for example, in this case, we save this customer audience. Based off of that, you have the opportunity to include more custom segments here. Of course, they actually recommend using the custom segments as well as your data. I would try just using the lookalike audience, right? If it's going to be an experiment. I normally don't, I take it with a grain of salt, what they say here, best practices. I normally let them, try out different things. If I see that it's just not spending, it's not working, then I'll go ahead and add, more data here. People who have viewed the channel, for example, or different video ads, plus the different custom segments that I've created, custom intent or custom affinity. So another thing you can do is exclude people, right? So it's people who have actually converted. You can actually add all people who've converted as an exclusion list, right? I'd strongly recommend you do that, so just to kind of avoid that wasted ad spend, right, to other people. You can even add the in-market audiences in here, so there's various options that you can do. And of course, from a demographic standpoint, Google's always going to try to tell you, hey, let us do their thing. But if you feel very strongly about your demographic, you don't want to, let's say, spend money to 18-year-olds, then just go ahead and exclude them. They'll tell you here, I'll include all the demos to increase conversions. I normally don't follow that, specifically when I have instructions about who we're trying to target here, right? Because even in that list, it doesn't matter. I know on Facebook lookalikes, you normally kind of leave it open, but I'm very, let's say, adamant, or I'm an advocate of like trying things as precise as possible, especially when it comes to our targeting criteria. Okay, great. Now that we have our audience, we're going to move forward with our ad creation. But before we do that, one thing that I do want to tell you is if you have optimized targeting turned on, then I would leave it off. I would say if you want to test out the lookalike audience as is, leave that off. And then if it's not maybe firing, then go ahead and turn that on and see how that works. Again, it depends on the niche that you're in. Not necessarily the best practice, in my opinion, if you're doing high ticket offers, if you're doing consulting type of offers, or people who are with higher income, because it does, at times, it bypasses this particular, let's say, demographic or targeting setting just to get you more conversions. But more conversions doesn't necessarily mean the right conversions, if you know what I mean. So normally I would leave that off, and that is basically it. And then we have the tracking template. Won't go through that right now. And then this is where the ad creation takes place. Okay, so notice that you have different type of ads to create. So this is where you need to get creative and basically decide, hey, I want to try and go for a single image ad, which I normally won't recommend a single image ad for this. I would do video ad, especially, coming from a YouTube ad background and having, effective video ads that are already working for you, then I would just select the video ad. There's other options here where you can do carousel image ads. Okay, so in this case, we'll do like a video ad since we already have some assets for that. And then you could just go in here, you can paste the YouTube URL in here. So I'll just show you an example. Okay, so when you add a YouTube short ad, for example, it's in the YouTube short format, then you're gonna see the video. When somebody scrolls down, it's gonna look like this. Keep in mind that it does have the other placements, the other inventory, such as the in-stream on mobile. It looks sometimes like this, sometimes it'll look like this in the in-feed video on YouTube, but primarily this is where your placements, it's most likely gonna show up in. And of course here you have your headline, join free webinar, right? So this is where just, you wanna get creative with your copy. You have long headline, it gives you like 90 characters long. So, just get creative with the way that you're doing things. If it's for a book call now type of funnel, right? A booking funnel, then you could just do book now. If it's for a webinar, you can do, watch now, for example, a business name. So it'll look something like that. So it'll show up here, and then site link extension. So just kind of like on Google as well, you can definitely add these options there as well. And then of course the URL, okay? And this is basically the process, guys, right? So remember, your ads will appear on the Discover page as well. It looks something like this. On Gmail, it won't appear. That is the only caveat there if you want to do an ad with a video ad type, okay? Now, the great thing about this is that you can actually duplicate this, and guess what? You can just do a single image ad, right? And then this one it will show up inside the Gmail. It's just a matter of you adding the image in there, and you can see it similar to that. And that's basically a very self-explanatory. Once you go through this, you add the URL and you just go to review, and that's basically the end of the campaign. Once you have the ads added, you just hit review and you're good to go. So there you have it, guys. That's the demand gen campaign type, right? It's a new high intent traffic channel that you can use right now to maximize conversions, get more leads, sales. You know, again, remember, you need to ask your Google rep. If you don't have access to this on your account, it is something that you would need to ask your Google rep before they actually start rolling it out to everybody. So there you have it, guys. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications to get notified when we drop some more video marketing knowledge and advertising knowledge your way. Thanks.